Welcome back to Mr. Orth's Flip Classroom for Grammar. A look at two words which are tongue twisters but actually aren't too bad when trying to find interrogative and demonstrative pronouns. An interrogative pronoun. If you remember that an interrogative sentence is a question sentence, then interrogative pronouns are essentially the W words used to take the place of a noun in questions. Usually the antecedent is the answer to the question. So if we ask the question, where is my book, where is the interrogative pronoun? And wherever that book is, that location, if it's in the closet or at home or right in front of you, then essentially that kind of is the antecedent to that interrogative pronoun. Don't forget that the interrogative pronouns include the evers, wherever, wherever, however. Demonstrative pronouns, I call them the infomercial pronouns. These are ones we use for demonstrations. It directly points to or indicates something. This, that, these, and those are demonstrative pronouns. In fact, that's all the ones we have in English. Please be mindful that demonstrative pronouns can be used as adjectives if I refer to something as this book. This is a demonstrative pronoun, but it's actually now an adjective describing the book. If I said this book is here, then this now describes the book and it's an adjective. If I said this is here, this is becoming just a demonstrative pronoun because it's taking the place of the word book. Some common errors, especially with who and whom and whose and whose. Who and whom. Remember that who is a subject or predicate pronoun. So essentially, I usually have students replace who with he in a sentence. Granted, if it's a question, you have to rewrite it as a declarative sentence. But if you place it with he, then we know you have the right version of it. It has the H sound for a consonant, and it has a vowel, open vowel sound at the end, who and he. Whereas if we need to use whom is the object form, direct object, indirect object, or object of a preposition. For replacement purposes, I translate whom into him. Again, same H sound with the vowel and then an M as the ending sound. So he and him are similar to who and whom. If we want to go with what sounds right, we're more familiar with he and him than who and whom. So you can try that as a technique. Whose and whose. Not so much a question of how do you use them, but simply how do you spell them. WHO''S is a contraction for who is. Again, I encourage my students, especially when they're writing, to use formal English. So we do not use contractions unless absolutely necessary. Whereas whose, WHOSE, is a possessive of who. So whose book is this indicates a question of who owns this book. So it's possessive. Also, just because it comes up on the test, although it's not commonly used in the Midwest, avoid the expressions this, here, or that, there. Which of these are still edible? In that sentence, we're looking for interrogative pronouns. Well, it's a question, so we're looking for a W. In this case, we're looking for the word which. We also look for demonstrative pronouns, and we have these being a demonstrative pronoun. Those cars are whose. So we see up front we have a demonstrative pronoun, those, and then we have a W, whose, and we have a question. The question is this the right whose? Those cars are whose. Those cars are who is. With the apostrophe, it should be written out as who is. Those cars are who is. It doesn't make sense. We're talking about who owns the cars, so it should be WHOSE. Get with the practice. Your job really is just to figure out a couple things. One, whether it's an interrogative pronoun or demonstrative pronoun, and whether or not it's the correct use of who and whom or whose and whose. And as always, avoid this, here, and that, there. A few things to keep track of, but if you actually have notes, and if you need to, stop this, restart it, and get the notes written down. But if you use your notes, and remember that it's only going to have one or two possibilities in any given question, you'll be all right. Good hunting.